Welcome to Finest Work Songs. My name is Matt.
My name is also Matt.
Today is a little bit different here on Finest Work Songs.
Yeah,
We'll get into it.
We're mixing up a bit.
Yep. The other day, I was driving my daughter to school. She said, "Can we play Vampire Weekend?"
Oh.
And I laughed because when we did our Vampire Weekend Epipod with Matt Purdy, it was really my introduction to Vampire Weekend. And I realized that since that time, I listen to them all the time.
Nice.
I don't have Spotify, but
Yeah.
you know those top listens? Last year, that would have been one of my top listens.
Nice.
For you, Matt, what is different with music now that you've been doing this podcast?
For me, what's been different from doing Finest Work Songs is a deeper appreciation for rap and hip hop, whether it's A Tribe Called Quest or Public Enemy. I've, in some ways, had to kind of face and come to terms with some of the hangups I had, when I was younger. Most of it was essentially just because of an unfamiliarity with the subject matter, not being able to relate to it, and then not almost wanting to relate to it. Maturing a little bit, spending time listening to those albums and having an opportunity to really think back to the experiences that brought that music to life has given me a new appreciation for it. Introduction to artists like Elbow. I mean, that's another one I think back to. Like,
Amen.
There are, you talk about Spotify. I mean, like, there are so many Elbow songs that I'm sure are way up there on my Spotify list now because of having gone through that episode with you and Taylor Roberts.
Yeah. There are artists now that I feel like I get it a little bit more. Willie Nelson, when we did that Epipod with Tim Hunter, it felt like a door was open. And, Willie wasn't just that To All the Girls I've Loved Before
On the
type
Road
artist.
Again.
Yeah.
It did also give me an appreciation for, when you get down to it, what a hack Bob Dylan is.
Yeah, I think Blood on the Tracks. More like Dud full of tracks.
Oh, burn.
Thanks for nothing, Bobby D.
Yeah, right.
Finest Work fans, if you are just joining us for the first time, welcome. But also, you'll note that one of our repeating things is to troll Dwayne Davis, our Bob Dylan expert. Adversely, that same daughter who now calls for Vampire Weekend also often calls for Dave Matthews Under the Table of Dreaming. So in my preparation 2 years ago for that Epipod, which I pretty much ripped to shreds, she's always asking for it. Last weekend, we listened to the full album. Well, I'm sure I skipped Warehouse, but
Of all the songs.
when we began, we came up with lists of albums that we each would like to cover. And then the other one went on and highlighted albums that we're not that familiar with. And that kind of guides how we do it. We all have albums that we love that really are underrated.
Fly under the radar.
Yeah. And it's something in your CD collection that you just want everyone to hear. Even if they don't find it as brilliant, you feel like more people should hear and appreciate this album. When we say underrated, we don't mean The Bends by Radiohead always gets shadowed by Kid A and OK Computer, so it should be more appreciated.
Oh, man, why don't people talk about Out of Time like they do Automatic for the People, even though it 8 million copies sold or whatever?
Yeah, it's more like an album that is not as well known as we think it should be.
Before we get to our 2 underrated albums, we always like to read real emails that come to us from our Gmail account, finestworksongs@gmail.com. This is a little segment we call Kenny Gmail. This one comes from Bernardina Duce, maybe. Her website is cravefreebies.com, which I'm sure is totally above board.
Oh, hold on, let me look that up. Crave.
It's a short one. She just writes, I've observed that in digital cameras, extraordinary sensors help to concentrate automatically. Thank you for sharing your thinking on this website.
Okay, cravefreebies.com. Free amazing chickpea spread samples.
Oh.
Free sample of pumpkin smoothie.
Ooh.
I wonder what happens when I click on one of these.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah. Huh. I'm going to stop clicking. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing inappropriate. It's Bernardina.
I mean, we all know Bernardina.
Yeah,
She's one of our biggest fans. This Kenny Gmail is in response to our Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction Epipod, and it comes from Terrell Simpolo, also cravefreebies.com.
Oh, wow. Man, the team over there at cravefreebies.com is really...
They're on it.
We must be playing in that office. We need to send them some autographed pictures to hang up in the break room.
And Terrell writes, one thing I've discovered is that in most cases, FSBO sellers, which, I mean, from We have educated listeners. I'm sure they know for sale by owner. FSBO sellers will reject anyone. Remember, they would prefer to not ever use your solutions. But if you maintain a steady professional partnership, offering help and staying in contact for around 4 to 5 weeks, you will usually be able to win a conversation. From there, a listing follows. Some great real estate advice from the folks over at cravefreebies.com.
A little heavy-handed, though.
It is kind of heavy-handed.
They're really trying to manipulate you a bit.
Yeah.
Scare tactics.
You ever done a FSBO?
When Kristen and I got married, we lived in Durham for almost a year. We sold it on Craigslist.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you have to make the exchange in a Walmart parking lot?
Yeah, that's right. Pulled up with the deed to the house. I brought a friend.
Just in case
Yeah, just
things
in
go
case.
south.
Yep.
We always appreciate the Kenny Gmail entries that come in, so be sure to send us your email at finestworksongs@gmail.com, and who knows, maybe we'll read yours as part of a future Kenny Gmail.
Okay, Matt, we each get 3 songs to share. Matt, which album did you pick today?
The album I picked as an underrated album is Weave by Queen Sarah Saturday.
Seems I never get enough of me. Seems I never get enough of me. Seems I never get enough of me. Seems I never get enough. Seems I never get enough. Seems I never get enough of me.
You and I were knocking around this idea about underrated albums, and I was actually hanging out with 2-time guest of the show, Troy Fairbank, a week or so ago. He, in a lot of ways, has been a lifeline to current music for me for many years as I've gotten older. He's a couple years younger, but he's still way more attuned to new music and stuff that's coming down the pike. And so,
Hold on, real quick.
yeah,
Is it coming down the pike or is it coming down the pipe?
I think it's pike.
I never know. I'm being sincere here.
Maybe it's,
Let's look it up.
let's look it up.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. On merriam-webster.com. Thanks to our sponsor, Dictionary.
Freebies.com.
Okay, so it's pike. You're right. Mm-hmm. And it's short for turnpike. Something coming from further down the road. That's
Okay.
what it means. And recently it's been mistaken as down the pipe
Cool.
by idiots. You idiot, Stevens.
My guess is it's one of these things that can be either, right? I mean,
Well, Merriam-Webster says
well,
that it's...
I'm just saying, like, if we were to walk out of here and tell someone something's coming down the pipe, they're not going to be like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah,
I don't know what you mean. That
that-
sounds dumb.
Yeah, there's some things you can and should correct.
Like Valentine's Day.
No, correct that. Good
Yeah, that's what I
grief.
mean. That's what I'm saying. You should
Okay,
correct
yeah.
that.
Don't correct daylight saving time.
Yeah.
Daylight savings time, saving time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Anyway.
coming down the pike.
This topic was coming down the pike or pipe. And
We
so,
settled it.
yeah, that's right. You're right. You're right. I'm so diplomatic. Every year for years, Troy has put together like his favorite songs of that year. So at the end of the year, he'll put together a playlist and put it on a CD and give it out to friends or send the playlist to friends. And
So he does this every year.
yeah.
He puts together and sends it to friends.
Oh, have you not gotten it?
No.
Awkward.
Before we go on, I want to thank Troy for coming on the podcast again. The connection that we have
It's pretty deep.
is pretty deep.
Yeah.
So I thought.
Anywho, it's a great mix of songs you probably have heard on the radio, but then stuff that's a little more underground. And we were hanging out the other night, and he said, "Gosh, I'm revisiting some older albums that I'd kind of put on the shelf and not really listened to for a long time, and finding that I actually really enjoy them." And he asked me, he's like, "Is there an underrated or an older album? Maybe it's more of a local regional band that you still just really love?" And immediately I thought of this album by Queen Sarah Saturday. So the timing was great on this. Queen Sarah Saturday, band from Durham. I think the first time I saw them, they opened for either the Connells or Dylan Fence. It's not the folksy Britpop melodic songs that the Connells were kind of doing. It's not soulful rock like Dylan Fence. It's not ska. It's not punk, but it was more in line of like Sonic Youth and the Pixies and Smashing Pumpkins, where it's loud, quiet, but there's still a lot of melody that goes throughout it.
All right, well, let's jump in. Which track are we starting with, Matt?
We'll start with what's probably the quintessential song on this album to me, and probably, I would think, their biggest song, and this is Seams. at that era where you had the Connells and Dylan Fence and bands like that were kind of making a name for themselves. Queen Sarah Saturday they were angrier, they were louder. It seemed like more of something that was not necessarily from North Carolina. Again, we talked about before, like REM proving that you could live in the South and be a successful rock band, and Connell's proving you could be in North Carolina and be a successful rock band. And even Corrosion Conformity has done that for years in the heavy metal world. But to kind of be like, oh my gosh, there's this kind of grungy, noisy band, but yet they're still putting together, I think, really nice melodies and really nice hooks to these songs too. This song was on the Empire Records soundtrack, which I always thought for years was a movie soundtrack without a movie. I didn't think they'd ever even like release the movie, because everyone I knew had that soundtrack, but I don't know anyone who's ever seen the movie.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
For me, it's the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, we all saw the movie.
Didn't even know there was a movie.
It doesn't really hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched
Okay.
it probably in the past year thinking, oh, it's like Reality Bites or
Right, yeah.
Singles, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up.
It doesn't, but if I had to pick one song that represented the movie, it would be this song. Not from a connection to the movie necessarily,
right.
but the sound of the song captures the
that-
feel of that
time
movie. Yeah,
in
it's
that
like
movie.
this earnest youth,
Yep.
rebellious, but a little safe rebellion.
Yeah,
It's not
so,
anarchy.
It's very me kind of
Yeah.
focused, and there's some heavy hitters from that era on that soundtrack
Yeah.
in that movie. And so for them to have made it onto that, and it's a shame it didn't keep going after this.
It feels in the camp of Lemonheads, Screaming Trees.
Yep.
It's like that lighter grunge
Exactly.
that has the pop element to it. I know Lemonheads weren't grunge, but with that heavy strumming.
Yeah, heavy strumming,
Yeah.
and then double strumming
Yeah.
comes in. And also around that time, I was thinking about, I think you mentioned the single soundtrack. I mean, I think my favorite Smashing Pumpkins song of all time is Drown, which is on that soundtrack. There are elements to that remind me of Queen Sarah Saturday, of like
Of Drown?
of just that sound of, we're going to do some really quiet, not acoustic guitar, but no distortion,
Little
guitar
phaser on it.
It's going to build up to a cacophony. And so that's what I've always liked about Queen Sarah Saturday. If you have had any level of appreciation for Queen Sarah Saturday at this point, Matt, then I'm probably going to ruin it for you. There are also elements to some of their songs, particularly Water, where there's different movements within it. There's some early 70s like hard rock sounds to it, which also remind me of Rush.
Oh,
So-
gosh. We've avoided it for so long, but we're going to have to do a Rush.
Oh, yeah, we
Apple
will.
pie.
At least one.
I might be sick that day. I got coronavirus that day.
I had a love and appreciation for these long movement type songs with
Yeah, very prog.
very prog, yes.
Yeah, as in prog rock, not the city.
What if all these years people thought prog rock was just like, it all came from Prague?
Some musician moves to Prague and is like, man, I'm here to get into the scene, the prog rock scene.
Prog rock.
Matt, do you know where the name Queen Sarah Saturday comes from?
I do not.
Matt, do you do any research?
I do no research at
Oh
all.
my gosh. Why am I carrying the load for your band? Why am I bringing research for your band? So the TV show Mr. Rogers,
Yeah.
remember when he'd do those little puppets and it was King Friday?
Oh, okay.
It's Queen Sarah Saturday.
Interesting.
I think most of them were voiced by Fred Rogers.
I think they were.
Which, listen, don't send us any angryfinestworksongs@gmail.com hate mail. I'm not saying anything bad about Fred Rogers ever. I've
Ever.
seen the documentary. I cried. It's legit.
Yeah.
But there were some kind of weird moments. And I remember even as a kid, that King in the voice was always kind of weird.
It was a little creepy.
Yeah.
Lady Evelyn and Prince Tuesday, I presume.
Correct as usual, Uncle Friday.
From my airplane, I could see our mouse.
Very early 90s
Yeah.
name.
You took the words right out of my mouth, like 7 Mary 3.
Early 90s felt like the beginning of throwback to childhood names
Yeah.
from like the early 80s, late 70s. Well, since we're talking about the research I've done, Matt, for you,
Thank you.
I started digging in because I'm like, who's in this band, right?
Yeah.
His last name is I-R.
IONS.
Is it pronounced?
For years, I thought it was Irons. I just,
If it's not, I apologize,
Yeah.
Johnny.
yeah, Johnny
Not like
Irons.
he's listening
Yeah.
to this. First of all, his great uncle is John Steinbeck.
Wow.
And he married Sarah Lee Guthrie, Arlo's daughter.
Yeah.
More notably, Woody's granddaughter.
Right. Yeah.
He goes on to have this storied folk career.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing that I found out about him, Matt, possibly my favorite fact I found out about any of the artists
Okay.
that we've
I can't
studied.
wait.
Johnny Iron was the bass player in Blues Hammer from the movie Ghost World.
Ghost World.
Yeah, there's only one scene I care about in this movie. Steve Buscemi is a fan of old blues, and I'm talking like on 78s, like the kind of
Right.
rare stuff. And so he finds out this old blues legend is coming to this club, probably 80 years old.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi's so upset that no one is listening.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a sports bar
Right.
or whatever. They welcome on the next band, and it's Blues Hammer.
Okay.
They're meant to contrast, you know,
The old with the.
the old with the new.
Right.
All right, people, are you ready to boogie? Because we're going to play some authentic way down in the Delta blues. So get ready to rock your world.
I've been plowing behind the mule, son, picking cotton all day long. Yes, I've been plowing, picking cotton all day long.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so anyway, that made me appreciate Queen Sarah Saturday because he was the bass player. All right, Matt, you got one more song.
Yeah, one more song is the last one on the album, which is Growth.
Open mind where everything's a boy. Choices ring and open chords. He doesn't listen anymore. And I'm searching for things in life I know I can desire. Seeing the ways of this world, been outgrown. Never fly down and never get it in your life. Fear was always there, I know, but I'm alright. And I know things will never be right. Seeing the ways of this world, hold on tight.
That part in Grow where it changes up to that more pop part. Just love that part. And as I was listening to it, it kind of reminded me what's that?
Candlebox?
Not
Silver
Candle-
Chair?
No, it's
Isn't that? Oh, yeah. That's what it reminded me of. Yeah.
Which
What is that? Isn't that Candlebox?
Collective Soul.
Yes.
Yes.
Collective Soul.
I've never noticed it until we were listening right now that it reminds me of that song by Collective Soul.
Yeah.
What I liked about Queen Sarah Saturday was their ability to have this like angsty, angry, loud, but then they'll slide into some really melodic pop sensibilities as well. And I think they do that well in the song. I mean, I could see the argument that some of these songs are too long and then there's too much noodling and noise in parts of it. But I just think, yes, there's a nostalgia to it for me because it was, in some ways, if the Connells were too popular, Queen Sarah Saturday was like, oh yeah, but we like these guys too.
Yeah.
It was almost like you were in the know of this more underground, but yet still local band. It really spoke to me at that time.
So I didn't know anything about them until listening to this album, Matt, but I'll say that it just, for me, sounded like the mid-90s. And I don't mean that in a good or bad way.
Sure. Yeah.
Just for how it made me feel. It was nostalgic for me, even though I'd never heard it.
Yeah,
It
I
took
can see
me back
that.
to that time.
Right. Thanks to Troy for spurring me to think about this album.
Thanks to Troy for sharing playlists with me. Okay, Matt, so you've played 3 songs from Queen Sarah Saturday. You would like for someone to listen to the album.
Right.
What's the environment? What's the timing when they put this album on?
The optimal time to get into this album is leaving work on a Friday afternoon. It's been a stressful week and you just want something to rock out to. Angry, but not in like the, a Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah,
You're mad at your boss, angry.
perfect.
Like Matt said, even if you don't know this album and you're in the mood for some mid-90s nostalgia, this is a good one for that too.
Nice. Okay, Matt, my underrated album is Oh Tall Tree in the Ear by Roman Candle.
I walk the Spanish steps across the streets of Rome. We sat and listened while the old river flowed. Oh, trying to find connection, looking for a home. But every place we end up seems to lead to one road.
Matt, another North Carolina band. Brothers Skip and Logan Matheny are from Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Logan and Skip grew up playing music. At one point, Skip said that they moved kind of further out of town into the country. And so really there's not a lot of people to hang out with.
Right.
So they're just playing rock and roll.
Yeah.
They go to UNC in Chapel Hill. Skip meets Tim Shell, who becomes his wife. They form Roman Candle all together. Matt, I first heard Roman Candle 2004. There were some friends I had that knew them.
Okay.
I think from back home or something. And so they give me this album. We go see Roman Candle, and I'm blown away by this band. Like, are you kidding me? Why don't I know about them? Why don't more people know about them? Coming to find out from their backstory, they formed in Chapel Hill, I think in 97. I apologize in advance to Roman Candle if I get any of these wrong. But
Sure. I'll cover up your mistakes because of all the research I do for this.
yeah, actually,
so-
I don't feel bad at all. Because if I do get anything wrong, you're not going to know. That's for sure. Strolls in here whistling. I walk in carrying a backpack. Skip and Tim Shell, they had planned on going across the pond, I think, to like mop up at Q Magazine or Mojo
Right.
or something to just try and get to know people.
Yeah.
Because of 9/11, that was shut down. So Skip is working in like a plumbing warehouse or something, and Tim Shell is like washing dishes at an art college. They're just out in Oregon getting by. So they had their music online. They get an email. The guy says, I'm Trevor Price, NFL defensive lineman. I want to start a record label. I want to put you on it, which nobody's going to believe.
Right.
Well, they're going to respond because it didn't sound like a robot.
That's so specific
Yeah.
to be just a complete spam bot.
Oh, that bit again? The NFL
Oh,
defensive
yeah.
lineman
From
trying
the
to start
Denver
a
Broncos.
record label. Gosh, everybody's gotten one
Yeah,
of
who
those.
hasn't fallen for that one?
But he said that, you can call me. I don't have a phone. You can call me on my lunch break. And Trevor Price from the Denver Broncos calls him up and legitimately is starting a label. They record the album, has some great tunes on it. But then Trevor sells the label, gets out of the business, and it's bought by Hollywood Records,
Okay.
who then sits on it. It doesn't come out for 5 years.
Wow.
Meanwhile, they're touring with the Indigo Girls. They are out there trying to make a go at it. That's when I saw them, as in this time
Okay.
where you're just wondering, why isn't this band bigger? And I think then V2 bought it, Virgin 2
Virgin,
or something.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
6 months later after releasing it, they went out of business or got sold. When I say underrated, it's
Yeah.
like in every sense of the word.
Yeah. they can't catch a break.
Yeah.
Like they're on the cusp each time.
Says Pop ended up becoming the Wee Hours Review, and that's what came out from the label V2. And you could still get that and listen to that, and you totally should. It's a great album. If we weren't doing this one, well, I would do any of their albums,
Right,
you know.
right.
So they get on a different label after a few years and release this in 2009.
Okay.
It's recorded in Nashville. Chris Stamey from the DBs.
Yep.
He had produced them. I think he co-produced this with Jason Lenning, which Jason Lenning I first heard because he produced Thad Cockrell's To Be Loved. I love the production on that album. I love the production on this album. They've been a band for 12 years at this point. The brothers had been playing for many years before that. The album kicks off with Eden Was a Garden.
There's a pine warbler sitting on a hollow limb. He seems to have the whole morning out right in front of him. And everything he sings from the branch that he's sitting on, it seems to hush the leaves and the colors all around. Now first he sings and then he goes, and what it means, it's hard to know. Baby works down right off of Barbara Boulevard and writes up everything on the back of a business card. And everything she writes will turn into a song or two. She puts it on the stage and all goes still. Now if she sings a forest clear, she puts a tree right in your ear. Now why can't you stay with me? Why don't you tell me, 'cause it makes a fool of me. Eden was a garden, you know. The birds were in the trees until the place was gone. They scattered to the wind and then they just kept moving on.
I had heard of Roman Candle over the years. For whatever reason, had never gone out and made a point to try and listen to them, which I think kind of speaks to the reason we're talking about this album. I think my thought about them was, oh, they're probably a good regional local band and maybe they put out some good songs. I'm blown away from the second the song starts. This is a super well constructed, well-produced song. There are elements to it that made me think of like the song Laid by James, those acoustic chords that start out. Then when he comes in singing, he is full-throated singing.
Yeah.
Like this isn't, I'm going to mumble through
Right,
and
right.
I'm going to put some distortion and echo the vocals and give it more than what's there. I mean, it's crisp, it's clear. I mean, even the song structure, it's so different than
Verse, chorus. Yeah.
when you give their backstory, how long it took. Those are those timing things that we've talked about over the course of this podcast, why some quote unquote make it and others don't. And it's like one song in, I'm like, there's absolutely no reason why people shouldn't be listening to the song.
We're done.
All right.
You got
Good.
it.
Good.
No, I agree. The minute I heard their first stuff, there was a connection. It's with all of it. It's with the writing. It's with Skip's delivery. The live show is incredible. I'll put it this way. Finest Work fans, I have a 1978 Ford truck that I've driven for years. The only sticker I've ever put on it was a Roman Candle sticker. It felt like the only sticker I could put on it. I'm not trying to go back to the past, but I'm trying to be in this present time rooted in something real. It feels that way driving around in that truck.
Okay.
If I put a Johnny Cash sticker on that truck, yeah, I like Johnny Cash.
That'd be like too on the nose.
Yeah, like, okay, you are throwing everything back, you
Yeah.
know? It would feel weird to put a Radiohead sticker on that truck.
Yeah.
There's something about the human experience and a longing for a sentiment, an emotion, a feeling, something that is real. That is at the root what I get from them.
Did you put that sticker on because it just completely felt right to put it on? Did you put it on to sort of advertise to others that you just love the band and you hope other people will listen to the band?
No,
or
that-
was it a symbol of like, this is authentically who I am?
I didn't feel like I was making a statement, like letting people know I liked Roman Candle.
Right.
It's a tiny round sticker.
Yeah.
It says Wee Hours Review on it. It's not even like a big
Yeah.
advertisement. It felt like it completed the truck for me.
Okay.
I don't know. That
makes
sounds so
sense.
odd.
No,
But-
that makes sense.
I've been trying to think for days on how to explain my love for this band.
The connection, the almost struggle to categorize it and define it speaks to what human connection is. I think back to like, if someone asked me, well, why is so-and-so your friend? a lot of times my answer is because they're my friend. Like I won't necessarily define it, or I won't be able to say, oh, he's a really good person, or she's got a great personality, or we grew up together. I know why, but I can't necessarily define it.
That's true. It's not even worth categorizing. You don't need to. One thing for me is I feel like I could be myself around that person.
Right.
And I feel like they accept me and understand me. And that's, for me, this music.
Right.
I feel like he's being himself in that there's a vulnerability, and it allows me to be myself. It sounds so weird, like there's a relationship. But I do feel like I have a relationship with this music.
Yeah.
It's not something I listen to outside of myself that just feels like, yeah, that's really cool out there. I like the way that sounds. It really feels like, especially with this next song, that they're giving voice to something that I'm either longing for or striving for or cannot figure out how to say. This next song is Big Light.
Sometimes I get a little lost, and the good life is so hard to see. Sometimes all I can see is the cost, and the prize is standing right in front of me. And it ain't easy to get along when you got things going wrong, and there is no luck to be found besides. Spend my natural prime thinking money and time, wondering where they go, and they go. That's when I need you to put me in line. Come tell me something, any words are fine. Fill up these four walls with old melodies. Let me know if the big light is shining on me.
When did you really start listening to this album? Like what year? Or
2009.
so young kid, like
So I've got a 2-year-old
yep,
and a baby just born.
right.
Is that what you're getting to?
At that point in our lives, we're knee deep in young families and still early career, but not necessarily, we're not starting out work. We're pretty locked in probably in, what we're going to be doing.
Not bouncing around.
That line about spend my natural prime, think about money and time.
Wondering where they go. And they go.
And they go,
Yeah.
that time in our lives is like such a blur. You're not sleeping and you're watching these milestones with your kids happen on a daily basis. Also, your old life's kind of behind you. The dreams you had as like a 17-year-old are not the same anymore.
Right.
I could see, we talk about it all the time, like when you experience an album, so much impacts your relationship with it. And to me, this is marriage music. This is
Absolutely.
This isn't teenage angst, mad at the world,
Yeah.
Trying to get out of town and carve your own path. This is, I've got to come to terms with where I am with my life and lean on the people around me to get through it.
I can picture myself. I'm driving home from work. I know what I'm walking into.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
You go from being married to somebody and like going out with friends and doing
Yeah.
all these adventures to getting nitpicky about sleep and about, am I pulling enough? Are they pulling enough? And you're just so tired and you're figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
When it says all I can see is the cost, when the prize is standing right in front of me.
Yep.
As I'm driving home from work, probably tears in my eyes when I hear that, because it's a reminder of like, all I'm focusing on is how hard this is and how I just want some relief from it. It's helping me realize that, no, man, when you walk in that house and you see that woman and you see these kids, stop looking at the cost.
Right.
This is it right here. And it's neat because this song reminds me of that. But also the song for me is talking to my wife, saying, hey, that's when I need you to put me in line. When I'm in this place, come tell me something. Any words are fine.
Yeah.
Fill up these four walls with old melodies and let me know that the big light is shining on me, which for me represents God.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
But it's like, put things in perspective. And I love it because it's not just like, hey, come put me into shape. It's like, put on some music that reminds me of beauty.
Yeah.
Go put on like Find the River by R.E.M. for me. Or,
Yeah.
go put on a song that like touches my soul. I don't want to hear Radiohead. That's one of my pop bands, but
Right.
I don't want to hear that. Put on
Yeah.
something that connects to my soul to let me know that there is beauty, there is a big light shining, there's a God who loves me and loves us and is with us.
Mm-hmm.
I've played this for Kristen and said, like, hey, this song kind of expresses how I feel, and I want to be that for you as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I could totally see that.
And you won't get that if their songwriting is disconnected from the heart.
And you're not going to get that if it's buried within a more, I don't know, poppy dance track or like alternative rock. The message and the meaning and the emotion is going to be blurred out by all the stuff going on around it.
Yeah, so the music matches perfectly the sentiment of it. An old friend who is a really good songwriter, and we used to write, and he taught me a lot. And one of the things he always talked about, I'd offer up a line, and he'd say, the writing shows, meaning it looks crafted. No one talks like that. That has always stuck with me. It never feels like the writing shows. It feels like you're listening in to someone writing in their journal or just talking to their spouse.
Yeah.
You don't connect to the heart if your writing stays up in the head. You're trying to write to where it goes through your head to the heart. If you have to stop and figure it out, then you've lost the impact.
Right.
All right, Matt, it's so hard to pick 3 songs. I tried to pick 3 that kind of capture the different elements. I picked this song because I have no idea why this isn't a hit. This is A Heartbeat.
When I was young, my mama sat me down and told me how it goes. You walk the world, but most of what you're looking for is under your nose. Now I spent plenty of time getting lost in the cities where the hours disappear. And I got something more that's burning up my neck, I'm pounding in my ears. I got a heartbeat, baby, that belongs to you. I've got a heartbeat, baby, and there's nothing I can do. Oh, 1 cup of coffee, 2 shots of whiskey, need ambulance, sirens blasting down the side street. Here you come walking like a punch right to the gut, but I guess until I tell you that I have to keep my mouth shut and listen to the heartbeat, baby, the heartbeat, baby.
Even in the handful of times, listen to this. When you said the next song we're going to talk about is A Heartbeat, that chorus jumps in my head.
Yeah.
It's darn catchy. I mean, you
It's
can't
so
get
good.
it out of your head.
And when you see him live, it rocks. They're really talented musicians. Logan, I love his drumming, but also I'm pretty sure that he plays most of the solos on these albums. Like
Wow.
he is a prolific musician across the board. He engineered Chuck Berry's last album before he passed away.
Wow.
Yeah, engineered and co-mixed it and everything.
Wow.
And so the guy is just, he's not just a drummer
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
stereotypical sense of a drummer.
Tell me about it.
Which you could tell because the drumming's very musical.
Yeah.
It feels like it very much fits in the song. And we've talked about this before when people are able to say something profound, very simple,
Yeah.
but also in a new way.
Yeah.
I've got a heartbeat baby that belongs to you. That could have been written in the 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
And that could
Yeah.
have been a doo-wop song.
Motown song or
yeah.
something.
It's the sort of thing that when I hear it, I think, how has that not been written before?
Yeah. One thing that's jumped out at me over the years with the Avett Brothers is I feel like they are able to do that
Yeah.
lyrically as good or better than about anyone.
Yeah. That's another band
It's
that,
simple.
and you feel that human connection, the heart connection.
I mean, when you were talking about, coming home and playing music to kind of just sigh after a day, and that's our go-to for that kind of thing because it speaks to everybody.
I want people to hear it not because I'm like, it'll blow your mind. Like,
Right.
go listen to OK Computer, the band.
Put the headphones on. and
Yeah,
listen.
yeah. I mean, and it has elements of that,
Yeah.
but it's that I feel like they say something. I want people to read this book. It's the
Yeah.
same thing that makes me go, read Wendell Berry.
Yeah.
Because it speaks to the human condition in a way that
Yeah.
makes you feel more alive. Yeah, so, man, gosh, dude. If you haven't guessed, I could just go on and
Do
on.
you like this album? Do you like this band?
Well, and it was even hard because, and I texted you a couple days before, and I was like, I don't know if we should do this underrated thing because I was thinking I can't just do 3 songs.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
talk about this for an entire
Year.
Epipod.
Epipod.
Yes, fair enough. So,
But I get it. Having sat with it for even a short time,
yeah,
I can appreciate where that passion and that almost evangelical thought around this
It's-
band
yeah.
comes from.
I'm
I
preaching
get it.
them, man. I'm preaching them. Listen to this. Listen to Debris. If you want to hear the song that I think I would put up there as one of the most ice cold burns against an ex,
diss track.
Listen to the song Thoughts for a Newly Old Lover.
Oh, wow.
It is.
Even the title's a burn.
It is a burn. Gosh, I just want to play it for you right now. Go listen to that song.
Okay.
All right, I'll shut up. But before I do, Matt, we do have an exciting segment that we can't ignore, and that is your senior quote. Senior year, you got to come up with a quote to go into your picture.
Yep.
And this is the quote that captures either where you're headed or where you've been or
Yep.
where you feel at that time, at that wise old age of 17 or 18.
It's that final statement.
Yes.
That you want to send to your peers.
40 years later.
Yeah,
they're
you're going to open
read
that yearbook and be like, oh man, did I really write you can't touch this?
Yeah. Did I really write freak me?
So this one was super easy for me. If I'm going back to the Queen Sarah Saturday album Weave from the song Seams, I mean, it's the chorus. It's what's said over and over again. And I think it perfectly encapsulates what a 17, 18-year-old is thinking as they're finishing up high school, heading to the next step in their career. And it seems I never get enough of me. I mean,
That's true.
I mean, the whole world revolves around
Gosh, yeah.
you as a high school senior.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
it's all encompassing. You are all encompassing.
Centeredness is just off the charts.
Yep. Well, that was an easy one for me.
That is perfect.
As I just gave up this snarky, angsty 18-year-old thing, I
Yeah.
got to think that the Roman candle one's going to be a little more introspective.
First, I was going to use right along the whole thing that you've been looking for is under your nose.
Oh, yeah.
You know, something
That
like
makes
that.
sense. That's forward thinking. And
Yeah. Too wise for me at that
Yeah.
age. It needs to be a little bit more like deep.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
so I think I would put from Woke Up This Morning. I know 1,000 people that will tell how the end of the whole song goes. I'm thinking that nobody knows.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
And it's great in the song, so I'm
Yeah.
not mocking it.
You know,
but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
if a senior gets hold of that and
Yeah.
puts that in there, it's like, man, isn't that deep?
Yeah, and then 20 years later, you're like, why did I put that in there?
You know, in my first semester in college, I'm in Psych 101. And I quote that, and I look around like, anybody?
Who else feels that?
Yeah, do you guys feel that? And somebody turns a rain stick over.
Are you listening right now?
This has been a lot of fun to talk about these two very different but underappreciated, underrated albums. So we've enjoyed doing that. So thanks for listening to another Epipod of Finest Work Songs. As always, you can engage with us on social media, on Instagram and Twitter at Finest Work Songs, or on our Facebook page. Check out our website, finestworksongs.com. And we'd be remiss if we didn't also say, please give us a review, give us a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you enjoy podcasts. And again, also send us those emails, finestworksongs@gmail.com.
We can't wait to hear what your underrated albums are. And because I am the one holding the music right now, I get to pick the track that we're going out on. And it's going to be another Roman Candle one. So, till next time.
He said it makes so